To the
All
stream.
right. Hey everyone, welcome back to Foreign Objects. Here, the second stream of the day, we have Mr. Ludwig Xav back with us, and he is going to be playing The Order 1886 on PlayStation 4, which just came out completely blind. He has not played the game yet, and he's blindfolded, so it's going to be even better. No, of course not. This,
It's fresh off the presses. It's going to be off the hook, off the
uh,
chain, probably off the charts, off the
off the boat. That
boat.
is what happened to me earlier today in our Stranded Deep stream. So I'm just interested in seeing this game. I've heard some mixed things, but I remember liking it when I played it. So I'm interested to see what you think now that the game's finally out on PS4.
Well, I don't really know anything about it except for what I've read in the press. Um, it looks like I'm being submerged underwater right now.
Alt history steampunk is very dusty. Oh, is that water or that looks like, yeah, that's water.
If there was a QTE for me to escape this, I missed it.
I think that there are. Oh, this is all in-game cutscenes, but I guess all the cutscenes actually are all in engine. But the game does look. I mean, at least in preview events, the game looked pretty fantastic.
It does look amazing.
So, do you know the background of the game at all? Do you know the story behind it, or anything from the preview events?
I know that it takes place in the year 1886, and I know that you are one of the Knights of the Round, and that they have been keeping each other. They've been staying alive through some kind of toxic chemical that they've been drinking.
Yeah, it's like this creepy black goo that they keep.
Something that you
Yeah,
would never drink,
it looks like
in other
sludge. It's
words.
pretty disgusting. This was a game that they announced a long time ago, and I remember us being at a preview event when they showed it off for the first time. And even at that point, we were like, it looks really impressive, but you could tell it was a game that was going to take a little longer to make than they originally intended, because there was just so
Exactly.
much behind it. There's so much technology behind it. So yeah.
Well, I mean, like it's supposed to be a really good example of sort of all these next generation rendering techniques and lighting techniques being used to build the game from scratch, and it's probably going to be visible in every single facet of the game. Well, they called me. They said, "My lord, I must be some kind of lord getting special treatment."
Yeah, that was a very special uh, torture chamber that you were in, specifically for you.
So I guess we can assume that's
Hmm.
me, and I'm not just like some creepy cameraman following. Like I said, it's the 20th of November, so keep that in mind.
Now this is all cutscene, right? You're not controlling any of this. Hmm.
As far as I know, yeah, this is in game.
So this game combines some fantastical stuff too, because you don't only fight humans, you fight monsters as well, right?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be an element of sort of the Hammer horror, old Victorian era London.
Oncoming Storm in chat asks, "Will I miss out if I haven't played the first 1885 games? First 1885 games?"
Probably not. I think each game is a self-contained story like Final Fantasy.
Oh, QTEs.
Mashing X is getting rid of this guy. I'm escaping.
Drown him. Just drown him. We're slightly behind you. After you're done, get Galahad to jump in that pool. He looks like he can use
There is a dead body in there.
Well, he
That's
looks like he can
disgusting.
use a wash.
I have to press and hold this button so I can reach out. Ugh. I got it. I got it. Nobody
So
worry.
these
I got
guys
it.
are just alive because they've been using this potion. They're not superhuman at all, right?
I don't know. They might get other benefits from it, but as far as I know, they're just using it to stay alive through the ages, which I'm hoping changes their perspective on things. Being alive for that long should really affect you. So this is the first time I'm walking around, so like I can just explore my cell, have a look around. Is there anything you would like me to examine at this
That
point?
electric chair looks interesting.
I don't think it's an electric chair. Do they have
I
electricity
mean,
in
in this game, they
1886?
have steampunk weapons that fire out lasers. So I think electricity is an easy one.
I'm just gonna catch my breath while I make sure that our audio settings are decent, because I don't want there to be too much of a delay to mess up the lip syncing, which could happen, and people would be very upset.
This is why I like streaming PC games specifically.
Right? It's so much easier.
I do wish there were better settings on the PS4's Twitch integration. Like, I wish we could Skype or talk and stream at the same time. Unfortunately, we can't do that, as far as I know.
I'm just happy to have your voice in my head while I play a
Over
video
there, go over
game.
there. Check this. Go over there. Don't climb a tree. Trust me, I learned that today. Don't climb a tree because you will fall out of it and die.
By the way, I just want to point out that I did not trip. That wasn't my fault. That was my character. Escaping. Let's see what's going on out here.
Chaos Raven in chat is asking if we can get a little bit more game sound. Do you think they can put that up a little bit more?
It's pretty quiet
Or
right
the game
now.
in
I
general is
mean,
quiet? Oh, okay.
yeah, it's mostly just like some light breathing sounds. Just gonna look at this lantern. It's very pretty.
Like a good tutorial.
So I'm trying to escape this prison. At least I'm assuming you're trying to escape prison. I can't imagine anyone wanting to be in a prison
I
like
think you're
this.
just finding your cell to go lay down.
Like you, excuse me, you put me in the wrong cell. I don't worry, I've got it. I will show myself to the correct cell. I'm actually looking for dry cleaners.
You're looking for soap.
I had a nasty spill on my shirt.
One of those Tide sticks that you can just rub up against a stain.
So there's an elegant icon on my interface. It shows me that I need to approach this. Press triangle to pick up this gun. Guns are pretty useful in prison escapes. And I can inspect it using the left analog stick.
I think it's
Or I could just be a crazy person that's twirling a gun around in his hand.
I think it's pretty interesting that they would just leave guns lying around in this prison.
Maybe it was being repaired. It's in the shop.
This is-
It was recently confiscated. Oh man, this gun is so cool. Look at the craftsmanship, the seamless nature of the metalwork. I'm never leaving this prison. I'm just going to do
Stare at
this
the gun.
in all perpetuity. See, in this game you play as someone who is obsessed with guns. Alright, fine. We'll press the triangle button. The game is insistent on that. Has no ammo.
Wait, go look for some shells and just look at the shells for 20 minutes.
Each individual cell. This is basically Shenmue 3, where we just investigate every single item up close. All right, I'm going over here. It looks like I'm gonna peer through these bars. I can smash them with my gun, probably.
You probably knock people out with your gun.
It's like that scene in Naked Gun when they're firing at each other and they run out of ammo and they just start throwing their guns at each other, and then it cuts away to them just throwing guns at each other. They stop shooting entirely.
I also like the scene in Hot Shots Part 2 when he's firing the chain gun at everyone, and then there's another crowd of enemies that come toward him, and he grabs a handful of bullets and throws it at them, and they all get shot. That was pretty great.
I'm crawling to freedom. This is like that part in Heavy Rain where you have to crawl through
Yeah,
the
you're
glass.
pulling an Andy Dufresne here. It's like a theme that we have going on in this show. Crawl through 30 miles of shit and came out clean on the other side.
This is clearly not a maximum security prison. It's more like a medium level security prison. Medium
There
rare.
is no security.
This is rare for people to escape. Let's see. So I can press left and press the circle button to move to a different piece of cover.
I can't wait for you to get outside in the world just because this already looks really great, but it's very dark and gritty, so
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what the game looks like outdoors. It looked great when I played it.
Well, I mean, the lighting is fantastic, and all the materials, like it's all physically based lighting. I mean, I think even if you don't appreciate this game, you can probably get used to a lot of the techniques used to light and render the environments. This will be what games look like a couple of years from now in regular occurrence. Like because we're still in this transition phase. Like even really big games like Dragon Age are still coming out on both systems. This is a PS4 only game.
Hmm. Yeah, the transition phase for this generation has been going on for quite a bit. I feel like we were pretty well out of it when it was the PS3 and Xbox 360 taking over.
So I'm just holding this person up and this is the tutorial for how to aim and point your gun. Even though I don't have any bullets, it's kind of interesting, and it's part of the story, which I appreciate. Even though I don't think anyone playing this game will need the tutorial of how to aim and shoot.
At a certain point, it's just a requirement by studios to have to add these things to ensure that they can, give people any information on how game systems work. Like, you don't need the tutorial.
Well, I mean, you don't know who's playing the game.
Right, exactly. And you don't need the tutorial in Call of Duty, but every Call of Duty game has its tutorial because it's required to show you the mechanics. Because, like you said, anyone can pick up that game, whether or not they've ever played a video game before, or if it's their 30th Call of Duty game, which I don't even know if it's up to that number, but it could be, as far as I know.
Oh well, so much for my human shield. We're fighting over a gun that has no bullets.
Oh boy. Yeah, why would you? I guess you don't want to give up the ruse.
Right.
Also, aren't there guys in that hallway?
So I had to briefly aim my punch.
Weren't there guys in the hallway that? Oh, you're in an elevator now. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. I think X is the most powerful button in the game so far.
X is definitely OP. So this has come up in the chat. KR Raven says graphics are amazing, but he heard it's pretty short. What are your thoughts on short? You've reviewed a lot of games. What are your thoughts on short games?
I think by the time you get to the end of a game, you'll feel whether or not it was too short. I mean, it all depends on what you want from a game, right? Like, and what kind of game you're in the mood for. If I was in the mood for like a really solid, tightly directed game that was over in a few hours, and it was a good story and it was well made, I think it would feel worth the money. If it wasn't, I mean, the gamble a game like this is making is that the story is good enough to warrant your attention to the point where they will take away control so often, and the quality of the story will be very instrumental in whether or not you decide, well, this is worth my money or not. It's like when you go see a bad movie, you have a certain investment, and then when you leave the movie, you decide, whether or not that was worth my money. Um, and that's arguably one of the most cinematic things about this game is that the quality of the story will determine your feelings on the matter. If you are looking for a game to occupy your time for a certain number of hours, then you're coming to it with different expectations. In which case, a game that's over pretty quickly and that you know is over pretty quickly, or that is has a story-driven ambition, will probably not meet your expectations. But then you have something like Dragon Age. You can spend $60 on Dragon Age and be occupied for hundreds of hours, whereas you will spend $60 on this and it'll just keep you busy for a few hours.
Yeah, I mean this has come up before with games like God of War before it had multiplayer. I remember people complaining that here's a $60 game that is a 6-hour, 7-hour experience, and that was too short for some people. But I've never got to the end of a game that I loved and thought it would have been better if it was 3 hours longer. I think we always want more because we enjoy the experience, but never to think that the game would have been better if it was longer. I don't know that I've had that specific thought.
And also some games I don't want to be long. Recently we played Alien Isolation. That was too long. Games that are very grueling or intensive and exhausting are worse off if they are too long, if they outstay your welcome, because at some point your love turns into, I just want to get over this, I just want to get through it, and you start resenting it. So, I mean, it's hard to judge until, this is the kind of thing that you really have to finish to find out whether or not it was worth the money. Um, and I'm sure that when you think of value, there's also something like when I see this landscape in front of me, this London, this steampunk London, it looks really cool. I want to explore it. Does the game allow me to see a lot of it, or am I going to miss out on it? Do I feel hampered or limited? Maybe that's part of the value equation too, is how much can I really do in this game, or how deeply can I embrace what it's trying to give me?
Yeah, I really think something like that comes into play, especially if they've built such an amazing world, but they only, you're relegated to hallways or back alleys and you don't get to see a lot of the world. That would be more disappointing to me than the game only lasting 5 hours.
Exactly. And if I finish this and I feel like it was a lame story and it doesn't really do anything new, then it wasn't worth the money. Um, I'm kind of interested to see what they do with this cinematic aspect ratio. That it's very filmic, so there's no disruption between cutscene and gameplay. But at the same time, you can do cutscenes in the same perspective, which is the 16:9 perspective, without breaking either way. But if they want to frame things in a way that's more akin to cinematography, like it is in movies, um, is that working? That's another thing. That's another aspect of value. If I'm buying a movie-like game, is it really giving me a similar experience to movies? Is it working? We played Resident Evil yesterday. That game is cinematic because it controls the camera and it frames things in a certain way to make you feel something. Here, I control the camera, but it's in an ultra-wide aspect ratio. So does that make it feel more like a movie? I don't know yet. We'll see. Right now, I'm just walking around this beautiful rooftop.
Cinematic game, and it's narrative driven, that they also would end up taking control away from the player, and a lot of that 5-hour number that's been thrown around is cutscene. So I wonder how much hardcore gameplay is actually involved in the game, and whether or not, if it works well with the narrative, maybe that makes that a good value proposition for people who like single player games.
Right, it's a trade-off, right? So if I give you control, Mr. Video Game, if I agree that there are things that will happen that I have no control over, if I give up some of my agency, what do I get in return? So if you play a Telltale game, for instance, you usually get solid writing and emotional storytelling in return. And they draw you in at moments that are the most important. So you have a similar contract with a game like this. Will I get a good reward and a good story out of it, provided I give up some of my agency? And we'll see how that works out.
K Raven in the chat is saying that you're making some fair points. He likes a good balance between length and looks, but he's mostly an RPG player, so he feels cheated if he only gets 5 hours out of a game. So I feel like your specific genre or what you're used to will also inform the decision as to whether or not you think it's a good value proposition for a particular game.
That is a good point, and I think it also depends on what kind of story you're telling. I think a lot of role playing games are about a large number of people coming together, and a very large scale event is driving them forward. Um, Maybe this game is more intimate and more to the point, which is also cool. I mean, from what I can tell you that I appreciate about this game immediately is that there are no long term video game mechanisms designed to keep you playing forever, like progression systems. Like, I mean, it really is the story is at the center, the story of the action.
Yeah, I feel like it's more. I don't want to throw hyperbole out there, but I feel like it's more pure design in that sense because it's more about just the story they're trying to tell and the gameplay that's included as part of to tell that story. But it's not a lot of meta games to entice you to spend more time in a world that you may not really be interested in just because it has this length offering for you.
Right, and there are ways to appreciate this too. Like, I mean, if I appreciate that they went through the effort of building this room and putting this photograph over here for the purposes of telling the story. Like, they actually committed to it. They made it. And maybe this doesn't filter back into the gameplay, or maybe this isn't what the game is really about. But I appreciate that they wanted this beat in the story, so they made it. And they invested in it, even if it's not like part of the main action gameplay. Like, you had that part in Uncharted 2 where you were just walking around the village, um, and it was just specifically to bring you back down to earth and to calm things down for a story purpose, and that's good. That's a good kind of storytelling in games. Um, we just wanted to lay the groundwork and keep going from there. And I mean, this is still really early. There's a really cute elephant over here, so I think this game should get perfect scores because there's an elephant in it.
Yeah, any game that has like a penguin in it, I would give a 5 out of 5 to.
Right, like if you put in cute animals,
Yeah,
it's over. There's just no more
no, not at all.
negotiation. Here's a guy fixing an elevator. And so, sometimes I enjoy games just where you can observe a world, like even if you're not participating in it in a huge way. Another example is Azura's Wrath.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they even had audio logs back in the day, back in 1886.
Crowdy Slow in chat says he heard that the story isn't great, but the interactions between the main cast is excellent. I, what I've played at preview events, they've really just showcased gameplay that takes place with that core cast, and I do feel like
Hmm.
they do work well together. There is a good mix of characters there, and it's interesting. The story itself, I don't know. They've sort of talked around the story and not directly about what's happening in the world because there are a lot of different elements to it. So this is a game that I'm certainly interested in playing, and I think anyone who reads reviews or should use that as one element to decide whether or not that they should play something. I know that there's.
Yeah. So I'm just like remarking on how the light is pouring in through the doors in this room. You'll see it in just a second. It looks really good. Um,
Oh yeah, there's like, yeah, it's really bright as you come in, and your eyes sort of adjust as you walk deeper into the room. That's really nice. Oncoming Storm in chat says he'd rather have a game with 5 high quality hours than 20 mediocre hours. Just have to have the quality to support the asking price. It's when it's 5 hours and has a sucky story that we run into problems.
yeah. It would be nice to have everything, and it's okay to want everything in a game. It's just not very rarely that you get it, because so many parts in a game are almost at war with each other. I mean, if you look at something like Destiny, it would be nice if Destiny had that gunplay married to a decent story. But a lot of people are completely satisfied with just what they get out of the gunplay.
Yeah, for me personally, I am a single player story fanatic. Like that's what I really strive for, like to focus on. So if you have a good single player story, then that's going to be great for me. I don't need progression systems or multiplayer or anything to help me enjoy a game to make that $60 asking price mean something. I just need a
Hmm.
good experience overall. And Naturally Frozen in chat was asking, what is our take on the 5 hours $60 price point? I think we sort of covered that a little bit. I think he may just be jumping into the stream right now, but we basically said it needs to be, the gameplay needs to support that timeline. It needs to support a 5 hour game. If it's a 5 hour game, it needs to be good enough to be a 5 hour game. and I think that's what we're trying to figure out.
And I mean, it's sometimes it's even simpler than that. Sometimes all you need is for the subject matter of the game to line up with what you're doing in the game. So if this is a game where it's just like nonstop shooting, then make sure that the story is about that. It's not like shoehorned in there. Um, I always look back to a game like Metro Lost Light, where the subject matter is it's a post-apocalyptic society, and resources are extremely valuable. And the way they express that is they still made a shooter, but they had elements like bullets can be used as currency. You have to constantly scavenge as the game character. You know, it wasn't just a coding. It wasn't just a front-loaded theme. What you did in the game was reflective of what it was about. This is kind of a really interesting glimpse at the game's world so far. Like just walking through a little couple of nondescript streets and seeing stores. Here's a fruit and potato salesman.
It is. I'm sort of just taken aback by how good the game looks. It's.
I mean, look at the detail in this canteen.
I am really looking forward to what Sony can do to help bring some of maybe this technology to its other franchises. Like we've seen a little bit of Uncharted 4, and it looks really good. But this is, I think, a good hallmark. This is a stepping stone for what Sony has been able to accomplish. Ready at Dawn, I think, is working with Sony Santa Monica on this too.
Yeah.
And Sony Santa Monica, I mean, they have their hands in almost everything that's being published first party by Sony.
Hmm. Also, kudos to a game that starts slow, especially a game in the action or shooter genre, because usually these things they just kind of throw you in without even establishing a status quo or anything. Like, I mean, the start of a story is usually there's a premise and then something happens to change it, right? And these games are usually so worried that you'll wander off and lose interest that they start with a shootout, and it's like they can only amp it up from there.
Yeah, it's the Transformers movie of game design,
Yeah.
which is
I mean, sometimes that works. You can start with a kick-ass opening, but it can be confusing or bewildering or unjustified. But we're still meeting the characters before we start shooting people with them, which is nice. Although I see a knee-high bit of cover there, so maybe a shootout is about to start.
yeah, it's funny when you see those spots. Although
Just highly
there should
suspicious
be
of
a
it.
drinking game if there already isn't one for every time you start a game in a jail cell. As every time you play a Bethesda game, you'll just be drunk within the first 10 minutes of it.
My favorite thing about Bethesda games is once you know, like once they cast their biggest actor in the game, you know who dies within the first hour or disappears. Oh, you got Liam Neeson or Patrick Stewart? Wow, that's amazing. They will disappear after the first hour of gameplay.
Yeah, like the father in Fallout 3. I remember that.
Yeah, that was Liam
What?
Neeson. Mm-hmm.
Then he went off into the wilderness to find the Grey or something. I don't know exactly how those stories align, but I'm sure that's a part of it.
I love the costumes in this game. I bet this would be really fun to cosplay. Really hot, temperature-wise.
So because I'm not able to actually hear the game itself, how much of the story have you been able to surmise from just the opening? Was that initial part a prequel to, or an epilogue to what is happening now? Are you in the past?
I'm not really sure, honestly.
I wonder if that's sort of the setup. We may have missed a menu that said like the date or something. Maybe this is 1885.
Whoa, mind blown.
Naturally Frozen in chat wants to know how the game controls.
It controls pretty well. It's like pretty standard third-person controls. It seem pretty responsive. All right, we're taking cover. Someone is shooting at us, finally.
Finally, a little bit of action here.
She just said, let's get to work, which means shoot that guy. All right, equipping a gun. I like how the the place where I'm taking cover is sort of slightly more in focus in the background. Learning how to blind fire, and I'm going to learn how to aim and shoot.
One of the things that is really interesting about this game from playing at the preview is that there's some interesting weaponry that you're going to end up getting later on in the game. There is the gun that fires out like gunpowder, and you ignite the gunpowder, and that's how you defeat people. That's a pretty rad weapon. Hopefully, you don't have to wait too long to get some of that stuff.
I'm just constantly switching weapons right now. Which one looks cooler? I'm gonna stick with the revolver. I like a good revolver.
I'm a fan of a good revolver. Now,
Pistols in general
I'm
are
seeing
fun.
slight hiccups. Is that in the game, or is that, do you think, the stream?
I'm gonna assume that's the stream.
Just like I don't know if it was just loading an area. It's like just a slight little. It's like when you play Halo and it does the hiccup when it's loading the next zone. I didn't know if that was that. But overall,
Maybe your internet's just
overall,
bad.
no. The stream's running pretty solid.
Look at the scale of the environment's also pretty impressive. Like I really do feel like we're in this really big street, like downtown in the city. Not really seeing a whole lot of options to move around in between cover yet. Like right now, it's still pretty. It's like a push forward for the most part. Not a whole lot of lateral or three-dimensional movement.
I'm not.
Which is another really important thing to keep in mind. Like I saw someone compare this game to Uncharted, and I thought that. I mean, they both have aspirations to be movie-like in their storytelling, but Uncharted is kind of an interesting shooter because your character is quite mobile and you can climb up. And they, towards the end of the series, like towards Uncharted 3, they became quite good at giving you multiple paths and ways to get around opponents if you took advantage of the fact that you could climb up stuff and things like that. Oh no! Shot that man in the kidney.
I'm not entirely sure with. There's some design questions here. I'm not really sure what the purpose of those. Some of this cover, how it exists in the world naturally, or if it just seems like it was placed there for this shootout, which is always sort of a hallmark of, oh, you know, we need to create arenas in our environments.
I'm liking the soundtrack too. I mean, I don't know. It's the volume isn't super high on the stream because we're talking over it like idiots, but it sounds good. Like even if this shooting is relatively simplistic in this game, as long as it can create sort of the feel of excitement and drama through the music and the graphics, then that's at least half the battle won.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need a game to reinvent the wheel every time for me to be interested in it, as long as it has a compelling story or something, a reason why.
Oh, ran out of ammo. Gotta find something else. Looks like I have a Falcon auto rifle.
Someone in chat is asking whether or not you can turn off the depth of field in the options.
That's a good question. Let's see. Options, settings, game, difficulty, aim assist and subtitles, controls, display. Nope, doesn't look like you can. But I'm sure that's a stylistic choice. And it's meant to draw your eye to something just like it would in a movie.
Yeah, Naturally Frozen is saying it's blurry, like when it's further, it's just the perspective of when you focus your weapon to an enemy that's further away from you, your perspective then focuses on that particular enemy.
Yeah. I find that it's having a really neat effect in terms of depth perception. Like it's giving me a good sense of how far away enemies are and where my position is in the world, and that's pretty cool. I think it's fun to feel like you have a place in the world, right? Like so that's an interesting use of the cinematic technique, I guess you would say. I'm gonna read the sign. King Alfred the Great. He's got a pretty impressive statue.
Do you think that maybe you can give us just a little bit more game audio, because it's actually pretty low?
Yeah, I can do that.
We're gonna pop that up. I think Naturally Frozen was asking. He was saying all he can do is hear us yelling, and we are screaming our heads off here. So we'll try to add a little bit more.
Let's see.
Oncoming Storm has a narrative explanation for the perspective. He says it's 1886. Glasses and context technology wasn't up to par, so don't judge. That makes sense to me.
Fair.
Very fair, oncoming
That's
storm.
fair.
And welcome back.
It may have to restart the PlayStation 4 capture, but that'll just take a second. And then hopefully you'll have more game audio.
It'll give us a little hiccup here, but we'll gotta shout over the jank. Karate Slow is saying. The stream itself isn't going anywhere. We're just loading it up again here so we can make sure that we have a little bit more game audio for everyone, so they can hear the game just slightly better.
Okay, I fired off some shots. Let me know if that's a little louder.
Yeah, I think that's better. A little bit more audio is not going to hurt anyone. We'll be able to hear.
It might hurt
It
my
might
ears. My ears are extremely
It
sensitive.
might do that.
Okay, there's a guy over there.
There could be more in the atrium. We should move in.
I'm pursuing some escapees into the exchange building. Presumably that's where escapees exchange something for freedom. That's why we're stopping them.
We need you to fight people who are trying to get their freedom, please.
Hang on, I'm reloading my weapons.
So is this like a prison escape that's happening?
Door. I can hear more commotion inside.
I think they're like rebels
Oh,
of some
interesting.
kind. Oh, we're being shot at through the doors. I guess doors were very fragile in
Bedlamites
1886.
inside.
Bedlamites. So it sounds like they enjoy bedlam.
Oh,
Gun. Take
God!
the
Even the
shot.
shooting through the door looked really great. Can you shoot that door down?
No, I think I had to press the button to
Oh.
barge through. Let's see, let's check the directory. Should we go to the Grandy Lounge, Wallace Pub, Gentleman's Lounge, Public Studies, Cigar Bar, Tennyson's Restaurant, the Game
Do it.
Room, Administrative Offices, Pembroke Wallace Galleries and Archives. Offices, I think we should go to the offices, consult someone on the current situation.
Yeah, stop by that game room, see what's up. See if they're playing the Order 1885. Maybe they have the prequel in there.
The Order 1886 is just a reskin of the Order 1885s. They just updated the rosters.
This is ye old Madden.
Oh, Izzy got shot.
Are you alright?
Oh boy. I really like the.
Is now the time to be drinking.
I really like the. Always is the time to be drinking.
Slaughtering them.
Just the costuming of the characters is really solid.
Scum. Smoke grenades.
Works really well with.
I mean, it does make it feel quite authentic, like if this were a period piece. Oh, it's there's a wrinkle. I'm equipping a smoke grenade and throwing it. I was always really bad at throwing smoke grenades in Gears of War. I don't know about
I was
you.
always bad at using grenades in multiplayer in Gears of War. It was impossible for me to get that done right. Huh.
Right, so we moved a little closer.
Crowdy Slow knows it's true. He says there's never a bad time for shots. Now, so you're
Shots
playing as
fired.
Galahad. Who is your ally there?
He's been calling her Izzy, which I assume is a shortening of Isabel. Oh, those guys are way too far. I need to move a little closer. Oh, I'm gonna hide behind this piano. Alright, maybe not. You can't take cover behind the piano. That's sad. Good news
I'll
for the
make sure
piano,
to take a
though.
note.
Come on, show your face so you can shoot it. Move on up.
Oh, you were just tearing guys up.
Gotta reload. Mm.
Target down. There were more on the level above.
Oh, I almost shot her in the back of the
Need
head.
to get up there.
Maybe she shouldn't be standing in line of fire.
This is going to be like how this game plays out is going to be interesting for
Oh no! I destroyed a priceless
Oh
ship.
no.
I was just seeing if it was destructible, and apparently it is. Let us mourn this boat now.
Oh, well. That thing just fell right down as soon as you shut that glass. Yeah,
I know it broke really well.
I'm interested to see how this turns out because, like I said, this is Ready at Dawn's first original IP. They ordinarily have worked on things like the God of War PSP series. So I'm interested to see how this turns out for them, and whether or not this becomes a franchise.
Everything to your
Or,
liking?
that's obviously going to be the intention. You don't put this much money into technology in order to just do one
Indeed.
game.
Although I do hope that.
Well, I mean, I would imagine that like the next God of War game will look something like this. I mean, you probably use very similar techniques. I don't know. I mean, I think they could keep making sequels until they catch up to the present day. So this would actually be this would be more than annualized for them to catch up. There would have to be multiple Order games every year for us to get to Order 2017.
Yeah, they have to keep going through it every single individual year.
I want every single year in this timeline documented, damn it.
Those are all the novelizations. It'd be like Encyclopedia Britannica of the Order. Real Styly in the chat is asking, do you think this game would have been better received if there was co-op involved? Because you do have a team of 4, but it is a single-player only game.
That would have been a good reason to play it more than once, right? I think a lot of the criticism right now is that there's no reason to play it more than once. Using melee attacks right now, so I'm gonna sneak up on this guy. Oh, wait. He saw me. I'm gonna have to shoot him.
That seems like the logical
Oh, wow.
plan.
Escape.
Well, that looks like a priceless vase over there. I'm gonna prioritize my shots on that. Okay, I feel better now. Go back to shooting the bad guys.
I just see you shooting the guys, and then you're like, wait a minute. Is that an artifact I can destroy? Maybe,
I don't know, how priceless is it? Oh,
maybe
I ran
health
too
orbs
close.
are somewhere inside of them. Now, I know you haven't actually had to deal with this yet, but we saw Izzy do this. Use that black sludge to heal yourself. Do you know whether or not that's a limited resource or how that works?
I don't know, they haven't taught me how to use it properly yet. Man, there are things breaking all over this restaurant. I wonder if I can destroy individual wine glasses. Yep. I'm gonna shoot this piece of steak now. Ha! It's gone. That's how you do a steak really well.
Usually people stick a fork in it to check if it's done.
This is a bullet.
Oh man, that thing disappeared
blow
off
it
the
away.
plate.
Look at this reflective piece of glass that I'm kicking around. I need to find another automatic weapon, or at least find some ammo. You'd think my gigantic coat would have some pockets for additional ammo.
Chili Frozen says, if you destroy everything, the game might take 8 to 10 hours. So, get cracking. There I see plenty more steaks on the table.
I want to see what people were eating here. So that looks like a delicious kind of dessert, like maybe like a sponge cake, or maybe some tiramisu.
I want to see some steampunk-related dining elements on the table. I want like a fork that has a gear on it. That looks like tofu on the table.
I feel like spork is more likely to be part of. Oh man, you're about to see some plates explode in a fantastic way. You're gonna enjoy it. I'm just telling you. Meanwhile, his partner's like, I'm ready when you are, Galahad. When you're done shooting at the random objects in the room, we have an important mission. Can we please get on with it?
Those plates exploded real well.
What about the flowers? We haven't done a test on the flowers yet. Oh, flowers are impervious to shots. I just destroyed an entire plate of desserts. I feel ashamed of myself. I think he ate them. I think he ate all of
He
those
shot
desserts.
him into the air and just caught him in his mouth. Missed it.
Really, I cannot find any more ammo. I think it's interesting that I'm running out of ammo. Either I'm a terrible shot, or maybe there's some restrictions on the ammo, which would be good. Right, we're done here. We're leaving this buffet.
Crowdy Slow says you wouldn't be able to handle all that food tech in real life. Someone in stream is comparing this to Gears of War, and they say BHK11 says he's not a fan of, he or she is not a fan of Gears of War. I've always been a fan of at least the first couple of games of that series. I mean, it's a third-person game with cover. I don't know if that's, I mean, it has shooting in it, so I don't know if that's a direct comparison with Gears of War. But are you getting any shades of Gears of War while you're playing this right now?
It doesn't feel as heavy as Gears of War, and it doesn't feel as... I haven't been... Like, I'm way more aggressive in Gears of War. Like, I try to push forward because the Locusts usually have emergence holes, right? And you're trying to close those up. And at least by the end of, like, Gears of War 3, I thought, was a good representation of all the cool stuff in that series. Like, you had bayonet weapons, and melee combat was interesting, and you would move around the map quite often if there was a strong combination of enemies. Like, that's another thing that we haven't really seen in this game yet, is different enemies or enemies that behave in notably different ways.
BHK11 actually says he does like Gears of War, but it's just been done before, so...
Is your problem now?
Yeah, I would say the best third-person shooter that I played recently is probably going to be Max Payne 3.
Yeah, we both are big fans of that game. That didn't do very well, though, for
Yeah.
Rockstar.
Not up to their
No.
expectations.
But I mean, Rockstar's expectations, I wonder if they compare everything to GTA. That would be a terrible idea, but...
You mustn't leave now.
Unfortunately, my lady.
Oh, look at this. There's gunfire going on, and one of your dudes is hitting on a lady.
I guess he's the
Let
Casanova
me know if there's
character.
if there's humorous use of the word frock later.
Most fetching, was she not?
I hadn't noticed.
That is because you are not a Frenchman.
You are the most American.
Oh, he's French. That
Oh, well, there
explains
you go.
everything.
Lover of liberty, mon ami.
I'm from Canada originally. I know what they're like.
Without passion,
Pimpin' since 1800, says Naturally Frozen.
Men, Marquis.
men have
Also, to explain another narrative explanation for the bulletproof Flora, Real Styley says that everyone knows that Flora was bulletproof in the 1800s, so that explains that. That's why that it did not react to your gunshots.
Plants were much stronger back then.
It was that it was all all that BP stuff that's in all of our fertilizer, I guess. It's just ruining things.
We need to give them some electrolytes. It's what they
Pour some
crave.
Gatorade over your plants. That's what I do. They last for at least a week.
So there hasn't been any kind of loading screen yet. It's been pretty seamless moving between cutscene and shootout.
Although there is a little weird hiccup that happens where you could tell you're about to take control because Galahad's hair starts bouncing slightly.
It's just the conditioner.
It's
that he
a little bit
uses.
like playing.
You wish you had.
It's a
that
little
kind of
bit
hair.
like playing Tomb Raider with Tress FX turned on PC. It's just like ludicrous hair physics.
Oh, see, I was standing there for like a split second because I didn't realize that I had started to play. Now I didn't have another weapon and I have no ammo, so hopefully nothing attacks me down here.
So, Naturally Frozen says that he missed the first 30 minutes, but he's wondering if you can give us a recap of what the story is so far, that if you've been able to pay attention. I know we've been talking through it all, but...
So I'm Galahad, right? Have we correctly established that?
Well, we know that you are Galahad. I don't know that they've actually said it. They've probably said it at some... Yeah.
And there was a point where I escaped from prison. I'm part of the Order, which looks like a group of peacekeeping knights who get called on to suppress an insurrection in London, 1886. And it looks like the insurrectionists are called Bedlamites, presumably because they enjoy or create bedlam. And now I'm in this underground station to do something. Shoot people?
This is what initially worries me about this game. It's really pretty, and I want to play outside in that great big world that we saw when you started and you got out of the prison area. But if it's going to be like Crisis, where, hey, look, Manhattan's gorgeous, now go in a sewer. What's your start to sewer? Is this considered a sewer with the start to sewer ratio on this?
I would not consider this a sewer. But yes, I'm glad that you're referencing my start to
Explain
sewer.
to people your start to sewer idea.
Are you making any headway?
Well, I mean, so there was a website called Old Man Murray back in the day, run by Eric Wolpaw, I think, who went on to write Portal. They had a review system where they would review a game based on how quickly you would see crates. And the sooner you saw crates, the worse the game was. And now there were obviously exceptions, like if a game showed you a crate immediately as if to throw itself on the mercy of the court, that was acceptable. And so I find it even worse that when you find yourself in a sewer, the sooner you find yourself in a sewer in a game, the lower quality the game. This is starting to look kind of sewer-like.
I'm watching the stream as you're talking about it, and I'm like, this is pretty sewer-like.
There are always exceptions, I should point out. I'm climbing stuff now. I wasn't expecting that.
Oh, you get troopers cover.
But yeah, usually because like sewers are dark and uninteresting, and they're just tunnels, which is not a great place to spend time in, especially if you're an action game, because it's like relatively linear movement. And I mean, who signs up for sewers when they play action?
Yeah, I mean,
games?
action games put you in a position or in a place that you can't go, but you would want to go, or do things that you would want to do. It's never been my dream to go inside of a sewer and climb around.
Yeah, and they usually look exactly like you would
Yeah.
expect.
Guess what? Sewers in the 1800s kind of look like sewers, what I assume sewers look like now.
I've just discovered a mysterious figure. Oh, he's transforming in front of me. This is disgusting.
Everyone, one of our escapees.
How about start to werewolf ratio?
Oh,
Oh, we're trying to track down escapees. I think they escaped prison. This guy is referred to as what we call a half-breed, which I'm assuming is just a werewolf.
some
of some
lycanthrope
kind.
of some kind.
Yes.
Make that more than one.
Man, this guy's hair looks really good. This is like award-winning hair easily.
I want to see Pantene Pro V commercials with this. Like,
Oh, I got knocked down.
so I'm guessing in the universe they've seen these things before, because he does not seem at all perturbed
He is
by
not
this
perturbed at all.
whatsoever.
Okay, I got one. Oh, you have to press triangle to finish them off before they recover. So you have to finish it off with a melee attack once you've downed them with your shots.
Oncoming storm. Suddenly, werewolves, is what he says. That was always the pitch for this game, that it was going to be a alt history, like steampunk world with the Knights of the Round, and it had this mystical element to it, or this...
I wonder if there are any vampires.
I don't know, I've never seen them pitch vampires. They have talked about... Oh,
S-
oh man, did it cancel out the animation of you being attacked because it...
Because I was busy
yeah, well,
attacking.
I enjoy that. I hate games that throw you out of an animation if you're like midway part through it.
Where is the guy going? Where is he? So this is interesting. The roll is contextual. It's not. You can't just roll
that's what
whenever.
the X
It looks
is,
like.
the prompt is coming up.
Yeah. So like if you hit it in time, you can
Do you
roll out of
choose
the way.
direction you're rolling out of?
No, you
and
just
he'll
press
take
X.
over. Oh boy, where did he come from?
I gotta go stab him. Oh, oh. Oh, so that's interesting. Like I was gonna get rid of the last one, but he ran off and it triggered a cutscene.
Most of them, the last one got away.
So they kind of snuck in a cutscene transition there.
Oh, interesting.
I'll head up to street level and keep after him. You two go that way and head him off.
Understood.
Man, look at that lighting. It's so good. Now ladders, that's different. Like ladder climbing is a very important part of games, I think.
Oh, we're gonna get to see the this new weapon, the arc gun, which I'm assuming is just like a lightning gun. That's what they handed Galahad there.
Yep. Where'd this guy go?
Yeah, so this is coming up in chat a little bit. The 5-hour number that's been thrown around, it's because there was someone on YouTube who put in a complete playthrough. I guess they got a copy of the game early somehow. Put a complete playthrough and beat the game in 5 hours, but they did it by rushing through the world, never looked at any objects. So I would say, like, on average, if it would take 5 hours to rush through it, it could take you anywhere between 7 and 8 hours.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you stop and smell the roses, or in our case, shoot them,
Or try to.
you'll
This is a
find
really
little bit more.
fun
more
and
things.
interesting chase sequence through the city, and it shows more of the world that I think is pretty cool.
Oh no!
Did you die?
I failed. She's dead.
Oh no. Pursue the lichen. So, I guess we're gonna get a look at the, Oh, Jesus! That is a brutal death animation.
Yeah.
Holy hell!
It goes much better the
Oh,
second
does
time.
it? Okay, great. So is it a checkpoint system, or... Oh, okay, so I see you're gonna restart climbing up there. That's interesting.
I failed the cutscene, essentially.
Oh, nice. That is...
Yes.
It wasn't just a button press, though. Like, I had to aim, charge up the gun, and release it in time before she got got.
Someone in chat, Naturally Frozen, is asking, he's asked this before, but we missed it. Do you think that the 5-hour number that's being thrown around is going to hurt the game's sales?
I think it will. I think a lot of people will hear that claim and they won't really bother to investigate whether or not it's true, or I mean the rest of the context of the story. I mean that's a bad story. That's like something that's become connected to the game and is now going to be very hard to separate. Which is like, oh, it's just a 5-hour game. But even then, like I think a lot of people will also dismiss that because some people just won't care how long it is. Some people just want to see the story and they want to play a third-person shooter. I feel like it's been a while since a new one came out.
It's been a while since I've...
Is that an accurate statement? I feel like this kind of shooter is. These games are always because they're so high profile. Everyone thinks these games are constantly coming out, but I don't really think that's been the case for a while.
High-profile third-person shooter of this ilk. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the last one that came out. The only games that are coming to mind are the last games that I did reviews for. I feel like first-person shooters are ordinarily the ones that we're getting that are sort of could be compared to something like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know this one's been a high-profile one for a while. God, the characters in this game look really great too.
Some good beard action.
Fantastic beard action. This is the best generation to release this game in. Beards are in vogue right now.
Where have you been? Bloody London traffic.
Beards are great. Mustaches are great. There's just so much of it going around. This looks like a game design studio's major staff, really. If you go to any game design studio right now, you're seeing beards and mustaches such as these today. They may have been modeled after people that work at the studio.
I'm sure you will appreciate that for the time being, this must remain a police matter.
Of course.
So it looks like the order is bumping up against the police here. On whose jurisdiction is this? That kind of
I'm
thing.
fairly certain lycanthropes are order jurisdiction.
No, it depends on where the lycanthrope is from.
So
initially.
Commissioner Doyle, it's a police.
that is like a bad movie trope where the FBI agents and the police officers disagree about things when in reality it's like that's not ordinarily how things happen. At least not from, I mean, my new uncle, I could say that now because I'm married now, but he works in the military and he talks about how there's always really great coordination between different departments.
To preserve the balance between man and half-breed. Such was the quest of our
I feel like a statement like the game only lasts 5 hours is sort of a statement that's meant to shock or to get you to not be like willing to try something. I don't know, because there's a lot of discussion about the length in the chat, and I feel like that's a discussion that's been going on around this game for quite some time, but I don't know, I still want to try the game. It looks interesting, I mean, it looks gorgeous. I don't know anything that's going on in the story because I'm not really paying attention to it because we're having this discussion, but I will say, though, that for the first chapter, that wasn't a lot of combat. It was a lot of cutscene for that first chapter.
Right.
When the noble Arthur sought to contest for Truage,
Definitely seems like it's going to be a slow start.
himself with issues of jurisdiction.
Do not presume to
But the character models are good. The one thing that I don't think looks as good as I've seen in other games is I don't think the eyes are as good. I don't know if you've played much Dragon Age, but it has like very expressive looking characters.
We must stand.
Yeah, they're a little beady. They're a little dead.
Lest our ranks
But maybe
be
that's just
poisoned by those
how
who
it was in
simply
1886,
strut
I don't know.
all we hold sacred. No one
historically accurate eyes. That's what I'm looking for in my video games.
Surely the Lord Chancellor does not mean to question Sir Percival.
Naturally Frozen says my uncle lied. There's always shit going on in the military like that. Probably. I don't know.
But the current disruption calls for caution and concerted effort, not rash action.
But I feel like that is a really that is a trope that we get in TV and movies a lot of, like the FBI and the police are just not agreeing on things.
Does Lord Darwin
At some point, someone has to turn in their badge because they're going off the reservation.
Naturally Frozen asks, was this mocapped or was this all hand-drawn animation?
Lord Hastings, Lord Dunglass.
I am certain it's all
That
mocap.
seems to be Sony Santa Monica's bag. Like the majority of first-party games from Sony, they have a really good studio. Naughty Dog, for example, does a ton of mocap. It's all mocap, and it's not just mocap. It's actually performance capture, which is the actual actor playing that role is doing the lines and doing the mocap.
Well, I mean, that's a point where I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if it was like on stage collaborative performance capture, like the Uncharted games do, or if it was individuals matched up later.
Yeah, I don't know any voice actor specifically that's in this game, unless Troy Baker's hiding in there somewhere, and Nolan North, which I think they get a monthly paycheck from Sony because they're in a lot of Sony games. But it may be mocap, but I don't think it's performance capture.
Oh, I guess I started playing again.
Are you finding that it's happening a lot where you're just like, oh, it's my turn now?
Oh, like I was waiting for the scene to transition again. And it was like, nope, you're playing now. It's like that happened to me at the beginning of BioShock, when like you're waking up from your plane crash, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Oh wait, is this real? Is this playing?
Is this
Wow.
real life?
Is this real life? Video games? I'm gonna look at this. I'm gonna check out this throne over here.
Throw that guy out of that chair. I'm waiting to go up to the guy who's reading a book and knock the book out of his hand.
Wow, the ceilings are so high. So this is a kind of sense of scale and quality of lighting that I haven't seen since like Assassin's Creed Unity. So whatever you want to say about that game, visually it's really impressive. It's not quite as refined as this game, but it's also not linear.
Yeah. God, yeah, that is this is the detail in the ceilings. It's yeah, that is a fantastic looking game.
So I guess we're pretty much done with the stream. We did a chapter. I would continue playing this.
I am interested in playing it, having seen the first chapter.
Yeah, I mean, like it's not unpleasant. It hasn't blown me away yet, but like I'm interested to see where it's going. And I'm glad it's not about what I initially thought, which was the first time someone ordered a pizza back in 1886.
We were waiting for one high quality pun, just one. I thought I had it.
Well, I guess you'll still be waiting.
But that one we'll have to do, I think. Everyone in chat, thank you so much.
I'm just going to be that person that eavesdrops on
Figbird
conversations.
just joined us in chat. We're wrapping it up. Sorry, Figbird. We do this every weekday at 11 o'clock Pacific time, a.m. Not
Unless you want us to move that time, in which case
yeah, I
we'll
mean
consider
that's
it.
what we've been doing. Like,
We're not married to 11 a.m.
Yeah, that's more paperwork.
We're married to human beings, not times.
So I did want to. This has come up just came up in the chat, and this came up on our YouTube comments. Someone saying that they always thought that you were overweight, and they were surprised that you're not overweight. So take that as a compliment, I suppose.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, thank you for noticing that I'm not overweight.
It's weird though because every time I'd see him at E3, he did bring a fat suit.
As I get up, there's like a
Just
giant body
it's
attached
like
to my.
Norbit behind me. Everyone, follow us on Twitter at Foreign Show, FOREIGNSHOW, for times of when we're going to stream. You can get our recaps. We have highlight videos that we put up on YouTube as well. At the bottom.
And we'll have some original YouTube stuff pretty soon. Hopefully next week. I have to work on that.
We have some video
stuff,
preview stuff coming up that we have that's going to be on our YouTube channel. If you want to get to our YouTube channel and subscribe, there are links at the bottom of our channel. So go to twitch.tv/foreignobjects and just subscribe on YouTube. We put up the full streams. We put up highlights from each stream. We're going to have original stuff as well. Then that's going to be coming pretty soon too. Thank you so much for watching. Luddy, thank you so much for showing off the Order. I'm excited to play it, having seen it. I think it looks fantastic, and I'm interested to see whether or not that the brevity of the game is worthy of the money that it's asking, and that's definitely been something in the past where companies have got that right. So hopefully this is one that does it as well. Everyone, thanks so much, and we'll catch you tomorrow. I don't know what we're playing tomorrow. Do you have any idea what you wanted to play tomorrow?
Isn't it
Oh,
Saturday,
is it Saturday
tomorrow?
tomorrow? See, I'm just having so much fun that I forgot it's the weekend. So we don't stream on the weekends, but we are going to be streaming weekdays at 11 a.m. Next week, we were talking about doing a show dedicated about jobs all week next week. Streaming games on the job hunt. We're both on the job hunt now. The joystick's done. So we need to learn new skills. So we're going to be playing games like Viscera Cleanup Crew, I think. We're going to be playing The Hunter. Maybe the two of us can become foragers in this forest. We'll find out. A bunch of other games. We're going to have a schedule up on our Twitch channel, too. So we'll catch you next time, guys. Thanks a lot.
Bye.